I mean, I don't mind, but who's gonna do the invocation? James,
James is gonna do
if
that.
you're gonna do the invocation, you get to do the flag salute.
I'll have John do the flag salute. How's that? You ready? You guys ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day, the breath of life you give us, the health you give us, the beauty of the day, Father. Let's pray that you give us wisdom as we do our business today. Thank you for everyone that's here. Thank you for our families, Father. Appreciate where we live. It's in Jesus' name, amen.
Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Cynthia, you wanna do a roll call?
Okay. Board member Dufer is absent.
He's here, but he's out in the parking lot, he's on his way.
Okay. Board member Lambert,
Here.
board member McLary is absent.
Turn your microphone on, please. Yeah, you're gonna speak, we're gonna have you on the mic.
Board member Olson,
Here.
board member Shear,
Here.
board member Taylor is absent. Board member Thomas,
Here.
Chairman Craig.
Here.
Mark, did you say Casey's out there?
Yes, he's here, I'm trying to get him in here now.
Okay.
Okay, that's a roll call. Order of business, number one is consent items. Consider approval of the meetings of July 6, 21.
And you can vote for both of these consent items at one time.
Okay.
Just everything on the consent agenda, you can put one vote in for.
Does
Unless
any,
you have
do I need to,
questions.
do I need to ask if anybody wants to remove from consent?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent approval, consider approval on this? Okay, then we want to consider approval of the meetings of July 6th and approval of the 2022 meeting schedule.
Second. Or make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Okay. Olson made the motion and Lambert seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, all approved? Or do I have individually?
Well, if I can see everyone, yay.
All yay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, information items, the airport manager quarterly report.
The only real information item we have is what's been ongoing with the frequency change, and I don't know, James, what all you wanna get into.
Turn your mic on.
Is it on? Oh, there we go. Okay. Information is on the frequency change. Mr. Thomas has advised that it is on the sectional now. We're waiting on the electronic charts. The FAA said November 4th, and that's still the date we're currently using to effectively go to a permanent 123.05 megahertz, and we will not be monitoring 122.8 anymore.
And that starts on the 4th of
The
November.
4th of
correct?
November,
123 point what?
05,
123.05?
correct.
Can you still monitor 22.8, or do you only have one radio?
We only have one radio,
Okay.
but it won't be the CTAF. Or you, no,
What I'm thinking is, we've had 22.8 for so long
Mhm.
that there's gonna be people flying in here that's gonna be not on proper. Do y'all have a handheld?
we do have handhelds.
What could possibly for a little while monitor on handheld. I'm just thinking if somebody's gonna fly in and just keep
Define little while.
month.
As long as we're on that radio a lot. So it just, I mean, we can flip back and forth.
Yeah.
I get what Dan is saying. I mean, the only reason why is, you know, people that have been using 22A forever, you know, they might not even be using a sectional, you know. I get that. And it may be one of those things that we even say, hey, you know, just so you know, it's not 2280 anymore.
But we can, I think we can start doing that now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like
We
we
can
talked
put it-
about earlier, making flyers into airport.
Right.
Can we
And
put
then,
it on
like you said,
AWAS?
you'll have it on
It's on
the
AWAS.
NOTAMs, and then you'll put it.
It
on
will be
there.
NOTAMed, it will be on a
Right.
AWAS.
Yeah,
And
and
we
it-
can monitor it when we
Yeah.
can.
And honestly, the AWAS is probably, I mean, that's probably the main deal. If you, hey, just put a notice at the end, CTAF frequency is now on 123.05. Because I think most people probably listen to the
I
ATIS
think
at least.
our company and our policy is gonna be to monitor both channels in the aircraft and for a pretty extended period of time, just because of that.
Yeah. I remember when, I think it was Grayson County changed to the tower or something. And I don't know for how long.
Oh, yeah, people landing without a landing clearance. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were coming in and people, like somebody, they're known that, you know, somebody would tell them they're on such and such frequency now. And, cause they were coming in and
Yeah.
announcing and,
I'm not opposed if we want to get a second radio and antenna system and leave it on. We can listen, you know, we can
Well,
advise them if they're
I
coming
think
in.
the city ought to provide another radio to monitor that for a while.
yeah. Well, the reason I was thinking of a handheld, if you say anything on the handheld, it's not gonna go over, it, you can pick it up in the pattern, but you're not gonna go interfering with Sherman or anybody else.
We're not getting even out far enough on the handhelds.
Oh, okay, belay that.
We're not even getting it all the way to the end of the runway.
No kidding.
No kidding, yeah.
Good idea, poor execution, as I call it then. Okay, I just,
We would need a repeater for that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
what you're saying is it doesn't matter if you were monitoring 22.8 or not.
Right.
They're not going to hear
They're
you.
not going to hear me.
okay,
I see.
okay, I thought with a handheld it'd reach pattern. Okay,
Some of them do, you know, but there's a lot of times I'm communicating. I've talked to you and it
You
would
talked to
work.
me inbound.
But most of them won't hear me. In fact, most of the aircraft all the way down on Alpha 2 doesn't hear a word we're saying.
okay, well, I thought it would reach further than that. I never do use a handheld. Okay. Go ahead with the rest of you.
We've got a big event on the 30th, a Candy Bomber event. So if you get calls from everybody, we're being attacked, we're not being attacked. We've got an A-26 Intruder. Going to be flying over Durant early morning Saturday, the 30th. They'll be making a couple passes over Durant, landing for a static display. And the city of Durant Airport has a free activity for Halloween, and it's commemorating a World War II candy bomber drop, the Berlin airlift, and we will have parachutes dropped with candy on them.
Will you be dropping them over City of Durant or just?
We'll be dropping them over the taxiway
Okay,
between Alpha 2 and Alpha 3.
Huh. That'll be neat.
So we will we'll coordinate with the college about that part of the taxi will be closed for an hour or less.
You're gonna, we'll work with you, obviously. You're anticipating like 3,000 or 4,000 people possibly.
Up to 5,000 or 6,000, but yeah, at least 3,000 to 5,000 people.
it's gonna be some parking.
What time of day is
The static displays will start at 10:30 a.m., where they can tour the bomber and other aircraft. We have Civil Air Patrols wanting to come in. We've got other individual pilots and helicopters coming in. We're inviting the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. They've expressed a desire to come. I think the college may want to put a Cirrus out there if they still can. So we're going to have a really nice static display system out there. And then probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 12:30, we'll have the candy bomber runs, and I figure that'll last less than an hour after that. So the whole event will probably go 10:30 to 1:30,
And what was the date on that again?
the 30th of October.
That gentleman was still alive, I think.
He is still alive.
I-
He's over 100. He still participates in these candy bomber drops. He doesn't pilot anymore, but he rides in aircraft.
Halverson, is that his name?
Gail Halverson.
Thought he was in trouble at first. Quite a story. Okay, is that it?
I don't know. Do you want me to talk about movement area?
Yes, please.
Okay. We are implementing and defining the partial movement areas. Everybody knows that the runway and the taxiway are movement areas. Durant's a little special because our apron's small, and we actually have another taxiway at the east end of the apron moving north from the apron. The problem we have is our jet traffic has built up exponentially. And we have G4s, G550s, Global Airs coming in all hours of the day and night. And we haven't been able to stop the vehicle traffic between the jets. Even with people loading and unloading, there's vehicles flying through. So we're going to define that area just north of the apron around where the fuel tank is, and have a boundary, a non-movement / apron boundary line, so that nobody will be able to drive in there without having certain equipment, a little beacon, light, a radio to communicate with, a little training from the airport director or ops supervisor, and a sign-off that they understand the requirements of driving in that apron area.
Will that be part of the people that come in loading and unloading airplanes?
We escort them,
That's what.
so
will
we
they be
already
marshaled
escort
in?
every one of them.
They'll be marshaled in, basically.
Correct. We are already doing that.
Yeah, that's good.
We do it at 1 o'clock in the morning. We're
I think
providing
it's a
security.
good idea just because of the, you have a lot of entertainment traffic coming in and
Right.
out of the airport now
Right.
because of Choctaw and all their events, but, they're gonna have, they usually have a caravan of people that comes in there
Yeah.
that'll need assistance getting in and out of there.
They brought 5 vehicles Friday night for Santana. Just to give you an idea how many vehicles we had coming out there.
So I can't pull over and park in front anymore.
You can with a light and a radio and training, and
How are you gonna enforce that?
we will do the same thing similar to what we're doing with the radio. We're gonna have a painted line. We'll have a letter go out to everybody that has a hanger. We'll probably monitor that line for a while. Everybody that drives across, we'll remind them to review their signs and markings, because that's not authorized to cross.
I think where Kyle's going with that is how you named it a minute ago. A non-movement area isn't what it sounds like. A non-movement area is just not controlled area. So I think if you call it, it's not a non-movement area if.
No, I'm defining, the non-movement area is the side on the big hangar.
Yeah.
And it's not a movement area either. It's an apron parking area that has access to a movement area, which is the taxiway. We don't have a clearly defined airport because usually you have a movement area, and then you have a defined non-movement area, and then a defined vehicular traffic area, and then a defined area for the movement area to go into a parking area.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're talking about aircraft. It's not gonna be an issue. It's just
It's vehicular
vehicle,
control.
yeah.
And
This is to control.
basically what you're trying to control is everybody pulling up to the back side of the airport where you can go in the entrance to the back of the airport.
Well, and they're not just doing that either. They're bringing ATVs and on 18-foot trailers. Oh, yeah, all the time.
The paragliders seem to be.
Right. And they're coming in, sometimes just coming in, bringing 18-foot trailers, and then they unload a bunch of ice chests just to fill up their ice, which is for pilots, corporate pilots and everything to use.
Yeah, if they wanna do that, they can go to the other side of the terminal.
Exactly, and walk through, and we could sell it to them. But really, that
They
ice
need to be
is for
checking
the
in for
pilots.
that, basically.
Correct. And the problem is, we have some pretty big aircraft parked through there, and I'll have dually pickup trucks driving between jets. Because, oh, I'm gonna look at that plane, I'm gonna look at that plane. And we're trying to protect aircraft from getting hit, people, pedestrians coming out of the aircraft from getting hit. And it's just a matter of time if we don't take some good steps.
This, the other day, he's talking about something that actually happened to me. I was coming to land in a helicopter and, I'm coming to land on a back ramp and a truck slow rolls right across the ramp. I mean, like, it's nighttime. I got the lights shining out at the ramp. I'm coming in land and I have to stop the forward momentum, which is a bad thing in a helicopter. You don't want to just be sitting up at altitude, just hovering. And, it was, I called him right after, or texted him right after, like, who drives this vehicle? And we never did figure it out, but, you know, it's just, he didn't know what was going on, you know?
Is
So-
there any way, or is this something that could be done, you know, a lot of airports, you can't even pull on to the ramp area unless they're buzzed in. You know, we got now where we can, there's codes, but some, like you go to Grayson, you can't get through there unless you buzz in.
And that's something that we're working with the consultants. Eventually, we will have those kind of security procedures. We just don't really have the technology, the ability yet, but we're getting there. And that is on our future forecast to fix. I think we're going to.
Yeah, one thing too, we've been waiting on connectivity out there and we got fiber put in. Last week it went live at the EOC and it's live now, I think, at the airport, which is going to allow us to use cameras and a lot more things that we haven't had the bandwidth to do in the past. So we're kind of excited about that, you know. We were able to take some of our, we made a pretty good deal. We caught a vendor at the right time and we were able to get it into the EOC, into the airport, underneath the runway, even over to our wastewater treatment plant. And our connectivity out there has been terrible up until now.
Got
So
non-existent for a long time.
almost non-existent, so we're pretty excited about that, you know. And that will allow us, you know, with, like your checkpoint that you're talking about, Mark, you know, what we'd really like to do is to create a badge system that you come, you get a badge that allows you to go to your hangar and your hangar
Yeah,
to do what you want to
You
do.
know, I've worked at different airports before, a badge system will allow you to still go through you can run it, but it's keeping a running tally on who that is.
That's correct,
And you
yes.
have to go through a class as far as movement areas like he's talking about, to have a badge to know where you can and can't drive. And
Correct.
That really isn't a bad idea, I'm telling you.
We think that'll be good for people who rent hangars or have aircraft out there too. If something, you
And
know, if
it's
there's a break-in or anything, we at least know.
They have different color-coded badges on that.
That's correct.
To where if you've got a certain color, then you're allowed in all areas, or certain colors are allowed to limited areas. They're only allowed to go to their hangar, you know. That's something that they could look into. And I think a photo ID badge is the way to go.
Yes, sir, we think so too.
One thing that comes to my mind is, you know, when all this is said and done, we're gonna have less vehicles parking, you know, which means more vehicles in that tiny parking lot in front of the terminal building.
We're already looking at that. If you'll notice, when we re-poured Waldron on the loop, we did not put the curb in on part of it to where the center is. We did that on purpose.
Good.
So that we could create diagonal parking more in that circle area. You know, you've got that right now in front of the terminal, but you can have, I think we're gonna gain about 20-something spaces 10 or 11 to either side that would angle park in there, and then,
Oh, along the circle?
yes, sir.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Are you really having any problems right now with parking in front of the terminal building?
When we have an event, there's nowhere near
Covered
enough
up.
parking. The other thing that's getting ready to happen is that, and I met with our Public Works Director, when you go down Nolan, you know on the left side is the old Stall Metal Building, and there's a pie-shaped piece of property in there. We're getting ready to doze all that out and clear that.
The pickle plant? Is that the pickling plant?
No, the pickling plant's on back behind there. But there is a triangle piece of property as you're going in Nolan, and
And
then you
what's the
turn
plan-
left
what's
to
the
go
plan
back
for
to the
that?
pickling plant.
What's the plan for that,
That's long-term parking.
long-term?
Yep,
So people who leave their cars in the parking lot.
that's it.
That'd be good.
Yep, and that way, right now, over the years, people have dumped junk in there. There's all kinds of concrete and I don't know what else is in there. So there's no telling.
You'll know when you cleaned it out.
We'll know when we clean it out, but I talked to our Public Works Director, and we're gonna take, once things kind of slow down, we get a little rain, we're gonna take our big dozer out there and just clear that out so we can get all that junk out of there. And that way we can see what all is in there. I know there's a bunch of just literally junk been dumped in there over the years. There's an old foundation or two in there even, I think. But we're just gonna go out there and clean it out so we can see what we got, you know.
When do you
So-
think this will happen?
Probably the next month, I would imagine. I'd like to get it, pushing trees, if you can push them in full foliage, it's easier to push them than it is after they've lost their leaves,
Yeah.
you know, because there's more weight to the top of the tree. So we went out there last week and looked at it, so as soon as,
Is there Highland wires in there?
there is, yeah, there is.
And is that, you guys are just gonna cut around the Highland wires will stay there?
Probably will stay in there, yeah, because we're gonna need power in there for lights.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with the building?
It's only a foundation
Oh,
He's not talking about the pickling plant,
Oh.
he's talking about the land that's,
south,
south of the.
yeah, yeah.
Nolan
Yeah,
Drive,
where you turn
left-hand
off
side.
Waldron and go up Nolan, it's that property on the left right there.
what about the pickling plant?
I'm gonna sit code enforcement on those guys.
They still have.
But I'm gonna
they
clean
still
my mess up
operate?
before I sick them on them.
What's the others getting on North Tower?
It's gonna happen. I can talk about it.
There's a lot of junk in there, Danny.
They are starting to move it out.
I was gonna bring it up.
John has visited with them. We told them, you know, you need to get that junk out of there, but we need to get our junk out of there too.
Do they still have a lease on it?
They do have a lease.
How long is the lease?
They're out of a lease right now.
The lease was an annual renewable, right?
It's out,
Is it?
yes.
They pay $100 a month. And I think that was a DIA deal. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
So,
Bringing jobs in, I guess, like back a long time ago, or?
supposedly. Mhm. I think that was their intent, maybe.
Yeah.
When you get everything on the planning, the zones and all, would it be possible to do a airport diagram sheet and put it in with each hangar rent so everybody's aware of it?
For the movement areas or for?
Yeah, defining what, and then the little
Yes.
description, and, you know, this is off
Yes.
limits now, you know, without.
Right. We
that
can
way-
do a temporary one until the consultants do a formal one for the whole
Yeah.
airport. But yes, we can do that. That's no
I'm just
problem.
thinking that way, then
Yeah.
kind of let everybody know so they know we'll be driving around.
Yeah, we will be doing that.
Okay.
I want to touch base on one other thing, kind of back to the radio frequencies. We were talking and discussing temporary tower system, and Kyle said that they're working on some of that. Let him
Kyle,
talk about that a
Which
little
Why
I
bit.
need
don't you give a report on that? We had a really good meeting with the
I think
guard.
we had a very good meeting with the guard, between, university officials, city officials. Of course, the airport, operations was there, and the guard themselves. I think it's gonna happen. I mean, I think it's gonna happen. They're, what they're wanting to do is set up a training tower at Durant, very similar to the operations at Okmulgee, if you're familiar with that. So,
Is it Okmulgee or Muskogee?
Muskogee,
Davisville.
correct, I'm correct, you're
Davisville.
correct, it's Muskogee,
Yeah.
It will be, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the logistics of it, but essentially when they're here, we'll be NOTAMed Class D. Okay, it'll be, during their normal training operations, you know, once a month type operations, and any special events too, they'll be looking for excuses to come down here and set up a tower for us. So for example, this time next year, the university may be sponsoring the flight competition between all the universities. They can come in and run a tower for us at this point. This was kind of a meeting, I was kind of asked to kind of get all the powers together in one room, you know, and which we're able to do. The folks from the guard mentioned they've gone to several airports and asked for, hey, can we do this at your airport, just to be turned away. So they were really happy to see that we're actually, oh, please come here. They were very happy to see that we were wanting them here.
I think it's a safety factor tenfold.
There are some logistics behind it. A lot of it is the wireless system out there, which has been addressed as we speak. There's some logistics between housing the soldiers. You know, they've got to have barracks for them and hotel space, and I think this is a long shot, but maybe putting them in the dorms at the college. But that's kind of a long shot in my opinion, because it would have to be, they're full of college students right now, so maybe in the summer, feeding them and things of that nature. They actually reached out to me today, James. See, there's me and my counterpart. We're kind of the low guys on the totem pole, just trying to get everybody in the rooms together. And he reached out to me wanting to know if we have heard anything, and you know, from the guard, and I have not, and probably would not. That would be probably you guys. So, have you?
I know John Dean, city manager, has talked to Chief
Harris?
Harris. That's correct.
Since after the meeting?
That is correct.
Would it be
sir.
appropriate for me to relay that to, they've
It would
had a
be fine,
conversation?
yeah, and
Chief Harris, is that right?
that's correct.
Okay. I think we've got momentum, and the idea is we want to keep the momentum going. There were some tasks that were left, you know, that were signed after the meeting. I think what they need from the city is a letter basically inviting them, because they have to go to the FAA to get a letter of authorization for this. And the FAA's concern is that they're not just popping up a tower in the middle, you know, that, you know, they're welcomed here. So that's one of the things that they need.
And that's the reason they were talking, was to see
Right.
what needed to be contained in that, and they actually sent the letter from Muskogee Davis
As a template.
as just kind of this
Right.
is what we did there, so I think we're working on that now, but
So is the goal, it's a temporary tower, as in they'll come, you know, once or twice a month or something like that, but the goal is to
Well,
make it into a full-time
Well,
tower?
and this is my opinion. This is just a step in the right direction. You know, I've had conversations with Grace, I can't remember his last name, the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission.
Grayson
And-
Hardee's?
Yes, and he's flat out told me we do not have enough operations at the airport to justify a tower, which I would,
He hasn't been here in a while.
and to me, I don't know, this is a Band-Aid, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. We can show them that we can certainly put a tower to keep them busy, you know. I invited my connections with the Aeronautics Commission to the meeting. They didn't show, but they're very aware of what we did. David Conway is our, our district's representative to the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. He's aware of it, you know, and so is Grayson.
He works with the Oklahoma Aeronautics?
David
He's
Conway
on-
is still.
he's on their
commissioner.
board.
He's still our commissioner
Oh, for Southeastern.
for this district, not for the university. I mean, for,
Huh. Didn't realize
At the
that.
state level, yeah.
yeah, still, he's still.
this is how Grayson County started on their, not with the Guard, but this is how they got their tower, is they started, the county sponsored their tower for 2 or 3 years. And then they got it into the system with FAA, and finally then FAA.
They
took
brought in
over.
a school. It was
Yeah.
actually a.
Yeah, but it got started,
Right.
and it
So-
eventually morphed
And
into.
ultimately, this is not a tower, but it'll be a regulatory tower when it's in operation. I mean,
Will they be able to pick up clearance and
Yeah,
everything?
and they're bringing radar.
Mm.
Okay, and they're already wanting to meet with me, the university, to develop kind of an SOP as far as reporting points and, you know, procedures and things of that nature. So it's a legitimate tower. And it's regulatory, you know, just like a
We
federal
thought
tower.
too that, you know, in our discussions with them, one of the advantages of it is aircraft are coming in and landing, we're gonna get an accurate recording of what's coming in.
Right.
And this argument that we don't have enough,
And not to mention, it's gonna be a great training aid for the college students.
Yeah, it'll be,
that's it.
I mean,
Mhm.
that's
it's,
big.
it's a win-win for us, I think.
I
And
can't
I
believe
have
some
not
cities
heard-
wouldn't want it.
I haven't heard any negative or any resistance, you know, to putting a temporary tower out there.
I guess the only thing that I could see as being a negative, and don't take this badly, but as long as there's a lot of notice that, hey, come Tuesday or whatever, the tower is gonna be open, you know, it's, that would be my only concern is, you know, someone's, you
They
know,
got
coming
AWOS will
in.
have to be updated regularly on that to
Well,
know that the
yeah,
tower's.
it'll-
It'll be
it'll-
on the sectional too.
That's right.
On a regular basis.
Well,
It'll be
no, it
like-
won't be on the sectional, cause
Well,
it.
they can do temporary, can't they?
Well, so like, well, if it was a temporary tower, they wouldn't have a spot to put it on the sectional.
But this is something that the Guard does, you know, that
They
they're
know
used
how to
to
do
doing.
it, yeah.
How many people operations do they, is there?
45
they have
what he told
on
us, wasn't it?
weekend?
Yeah, or even bigger, depending on their operations. And the potential to sell fuel, you know, John can address this and what he needs for that, but they're gonna be bringing helicopters in if they can purchase
The
fuel
ones
from
I've
us.
saw,
Would they have a radar?
they raised up.
Oh, but so you're saying the reason they're coming is so that they can bring their own aircraft, so it'll add to the operations of the
Yes.
field?
Correct.
Yes.
Ah, I see. So it's not just training their own
Well,
facilities?
I don't wanna speak wrong here. I think training is their main, and they're gonna do it even if they can't bring helicopters.
Yeah.
But they can't bring helicopters until there's an agreement. John might speak to that.
Yeah, this also gives us the opportunity to have a sponsor. So they are already willing to sponsor Durant with the GSA, DLA contracts for fuel, which starts allowing us to receive all military aircraft at that,
Which is huge.
which
I mean,
it's,
massive.
it could triple, quadruple what we're doing right
Yeah.
now.
Easily.
I mean, this isn't a perfect solution to our need for a tower, but man,
Also
it's
makes
a
it
no, it's a
reason to
no-lose
have tower.
situation.
It's basically a
win-win.
little pod. I've seen them, some of them are actually on like a jack that raises them up 20 feet, you know, I mean, I don't know if you've ever saw those security deals they have in Dallas that the police go
Yeah.
into, they're similar to
Closed
that.
ovens.
Yeah, they sit there and watch.
Just like they're on a big hydraulic
Yeah.
jack.
Is it not a remote tower? It's
No.
not, they're actually
They
gonna
will be
be.
No, it'll
physically
be
here.
manned.
The remote tower, that technology is not quite. what it
Cal
used to
Fire
be.
does that. When they, Cal Fire, the people in California that has fires all over at certain times of year, they bring those remote towers in and they use those.
The Air Force did that back in the 70s or 80s, didn't they? And they were using the runway.
At Durant? I would not, I'm not familiar with that.
During Vietnam,
Yeah.
Grayson County was Perrin Air Force Base. And what they did was they were training, and with the training, they had more people training than what the runway at Grayson, so they contracted
Durant.
with Durant for touch and goes.
Yeah. I
And they
think
had a
that
tower.
Well, I mean,
And they had a tower and they had a fire truck.
I think it's just one unit tower, it's just the same thing, yeah. Yeah,
I'm glad to
that's
hear
right,
that.
they did bring the fire truck over, yeah.
And our Durant Fire Department's already doing ARF training right now.
November the 8th, I believe it is, that week, we'll have 8 of our Durant firemen going to DFW to do aircraft rescue and fire training.
That's very good.
So we're making, one domino falls, it causes another to fall, and
So is the goal on that to have the fire department or a fire department out at the airport?
eventually, and this is part of what we're gonna get on the airport layout plan that we're doing. And, we want to look into the future 20 years or so and start developing that, and get it on paper so that we know what we're doing, But even right now, as many aircraft as we're having in and out that are bigger craft, we need that training. Right now.
They definitely need a response team on something.
Yeah, we need that right now.
There's been issues. For example, Envoy has wanted to fly in to visit the university and park on the ramp, but they can't because of the lack of the fire support.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll go this November, and that way we'll have a crew. The reason we're doing it with 8 different ones, that way there'll always be some of them on duty all the time that'll have that training, and they'll learn in that training, and we'll pick up whatever equipment we need to pick up for that, as far as foam and those sort of things that they can use, So, but we're, while they seem like tiny steps, they are steps forward. The other thing is with the Guard and being able, they will then be our ally when it goes to approach the FAA and OAC and with needs for something more permanent. So we just think it's
That
good.
definitely needs to be the long-term goal, is to have the tower endure.
It is definitely our long-term goal. Yep.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay, is that all informational items?
Do I need, with my reply to the Guard, do I need to relay anything to them, or do we need anything from their end that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, not at this point, other than I know John got from the chief a letter, and then I think he's going to wordsmith or draft something from us. We have a council meeting coming up next week, so I think we'll have that ready to go, hopefully then.
With the Guard coming in, I mean, if that's what we end up wanting to do, the parking area that we've talked about in previous meetings by the terminal building, is that something that would be coming quicker rather than later? I mean, I'm just thinking logistically, where are you gonna park, dozens of helicopters?
They were talking about putting an apron just south of the terminal. Is that still on? Are they still planning that, or?
That is in our plan. We're gonna start meeting with our consultant next week on developing that plan. So we really want to get that plan in place so that we're not building something, tearing something out, or building it in the wrong place. Let's
Well, I
have
mean,
a
with the
plan,
Guard
and
coming,
then
it's
let's
gonna-
make
it's
the
gonna
plan work.
Take the ramp space up.
You may need.
It will definitely take ramp space up.
Right, that's correct, yeah.
I mean, these are large helicopters.
Correct.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah.
to put the Guard over there.
That's the only thing that kind of worries me is,
They can park in the
I mean,
grass.
We had
where
even
we
talked
park.
That's what
about
I'm saying,
some
where
of
they're
those
gonna doze off with
abandoned
the Guard over there.
runways
Yeah,
over on the east side.
we should make use of the concrete. I mean,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
We discussed that as well, so.
Good.
That's a lot of concrete over there on the east side,
Mm-hmm.
so. I think we're making good steps. I wish I could make it happen quicker. But, I think again, if we do doing the airport layout plan and getting that up, getting it operational, I think that's a great step forward for us. So,
But the layout plan is not the master plan, correct?
it is not, but it'll get us far enough going.
We can start getting money off of the.
That is correct. It lets us get eligible for getting in the line for the money.
Yeah.
Is that all you got? Anything else along the line of that? Administration?
There's nothing under there.
Okay. New business? No new business, then adjournment.
A motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
Did you guys not use the computer? Did they not use the computer?
They do on a lot of